Ghost Recon Frontline has been announced and I was lucky enough to get the chance to play this game early. So within today's video I want to give you my impression of the 9 hours that I have played of Frontline. Unfortunately I cannot provide any footage of this game just yet, and that is mainly because of NDA, and therefore I wasn't allowed to capture any footage, and Ubisoft didn't provide me with any footage to show within this video. But by now you've probably seen the trailer and maybe it's got you interested in the new installment of Ghost Recon, or maybe you're a little bit concerned. And I do want to mention that this video is not sponsored at all, and therefore all my comments are my own. There's no strings attached here, and I didn't even need to make this video in all honesty, but I just thought that it would be worth making one in case people wanted an opinion of this game that has of course just been announced. So I just want to start this thing and say that this game is really enjoyable and was definitely fun to play. Now it may not be your typical Ghost Recon game, and this was something which I was of course concerned about when it first got announced to me. I think emphasis needs to be put on the fact that this is a whole different game and it's kind of like a spin-off of the current Ghost Recon games. Don't rule it out that there's not going to be your typical Ghost Recon game coming within the next few years. Of course, when I say typical Ghost Recon, I mean a hardcore survival tactical PvE shooter, which we've had in the past for Ghost Recon. Of course, this is more like Phantoms, for example, where it's PvP oriented and sticks to that instead of what in honesty I was expecting to be the next Ghost Recon, in which would be a PvE game set in the Middle East. But remember, this game is free to play and therefore anybody can play it. So the only risk which you really have there is playing it and basically wasting your time. Ubisoft Bucharest have been making this game for quite some time now. I'm really happy that they have dedicated a separate studio to develop the PvP for Ghost Recon. I do think the first instinct for when people see the trailer is that people are going to think that it's more like Warzone, and I've got to say it's kind of developed its own identity really. There are quite a few things within the Expedition, which of course is kind of the Battle Royale mode for this game, but to be honest, Frontline has its own style to it. And I'll talk about the different game modes in just a second, but first I want to kind of go over the point that this is a first person shooter. I definitely had doubt in my mind when they told me this, and I did mention it to them that some people will be a little bit annoyed that they're going down this route. I for one was definitely annoyed at the start, but playing this game for 9 hours I kind of grew into it, to be honest. It isn't like X-Defiant where it's a little bit more arcadey. It feels like a general tactical military shooter in which I hope they stick with that style, because if they go down a different route I think I'll be a little bit annoyed, to be honest. I really hope they don't make an open world in which it's first person. I want to stick to a third person open world, but for this PvP I feel like it goes well with the style of gameplay throughout the different modes in this game. The Expedition mode is more like Mercenaries. Now if you haven't played Mercenaries already, it was a mode that got added quite late into Wildlands, and what you need to do is collect intel from across the map. It was a PvPvE version of Expedition really, but you'd have to collect intel and then you'd have to go to an extraction zone and try and get out of there before anybody else. And if you did enjoy Mercenaries, then I definitely think that you will enjoy this mode within Frontline. When going from area to area, there was quite a lot of engagements because the different spawn points are quite close together, so it will feel like a more of a tactical environment, and you will have to be careful when you're defending intel locations, and you will also have to be a little bit more careful while you're roaming the world because there is always people nearby. I feel like Warzone is a little bit more open and you don't get as many engagements as I would personally like, and while it may look a little bit arcadey within the trailer, trailers do that at the end of the day, and I felt like it was a tactical environment. So don't turn down this game straight away just by that trailer. Have a chance of playing the code's test. At the end of the day, even if you don't get into one of those tests, it's a free game, so just give it a chance and you might actually really enjoy it. Now of course Expedition mode isn't the only mode within Frontline. There was also Control, which is more of a domination mode in which I would more likely play than Expedition, simply because I'm just that type of player. Control is a domination based game mode where you need to take over the objectives and control the map. It is an infantry and small team version of Conquest from Battlefield, and Domination is within Battlefield as well, pretty much exactly the same, and it's a 9v9 mode, and you do constantly feel like you are in some form of engagement engagement with the enemy during this mode. I found the TTK was alright for this mode, and it does link up with Expedition. It didn't feel too fast and it didn't feel too slow, so therefore you don't have this kind of arcadey experience, and you don't have it going as fast as Insurgency Sandstorm, for example, or any of the more hardcore games out there. There will most likely be adjustments to the TTK, even if it is making the TTK slightly faster or even slower. I think that really depends on the player's style. While I'm on the topic of talking about gameplay and just the general game details, I'll talk about Contractors. Now, Contractors have different classes. For example, there's the Assault class, there's the Support class, and then there's also the Scout class, and I believe they're going to be adding some more throughout time, but it basically separates the different play styles in which you can choose. For example, Assault class is a little bit more close range, where you're able to track enemy players and use those different abilities and skills and even gadgets to be able to take down your enemy in a more strategic way than, for example, the Support class. Now, the Support class, as it describes there, maybe if you go into an intel location and you're trying to hack the intel from there, you can maybe set up some defenses and try and cover that position the best you can, so that when the enemies are coming in and trying to take that intel off you, you can take those enemies down and hopefully try and defend that position without any issues. And then obviously on the other hand, to the support role, you have the scout role, which is a little bit more recon based, in which from my experience, I really enjoyed playing with this class, as it gives you that upper edge against the enemy who are trying to maybe come over and take that intel off you, or maybe come to the extraction zone. You are able to know where the enemies are at all times. So yeah, there are a few quite interesting styles of gameplay in which you could have. I'd love to see some form of EMP class where you're able to disrupt the intel collection, or maybe disrupt the extraction in some form of way, so that you could get some more time to take down those enemies before they take that intel, and then maybe you're able to nick that intel off them. I think some form of class like that would be quite interesting. Even to do some form of, I don't know, Rainbow Six crossover, that would be quite intriguing. I think this game has an opportunity to do well, but of course it does have that kind of issue where it's a Ghost Recon game, or it's at least titled as a Ghost Recon game, but it's not what the community have been asking for such a long time now. At the end of the day, we got to take it with a grain of salt here and accept that it is a free-to-play game, and this will extend the time that it will take to create a new Ghost Recon game, possibly created by Ubisoft Paris and a bunch of other studios, while this is working in the background. And hopefully that time between now and when that next Ghost Recon comes out for a PvE based game, hopefully they'll dedicate quite a lot of resources to make that game perfect and make it a game which everybody will enjoy. Now, of course, this video isn't about PvE, it's about Frontline itself, so I'll continue on about the Battle Pass, and obviously I can't provide any information about that just yet, but there are quite a few interesting things in there. I did provide some feedback to ensure that they are going to be adding some more military-based stuff. Hopefully they stick with that feedback, and hopefully they develop the game further into the military genre and provide content which is enjoyable for everyone, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure a lot of the community are coming over to this game and wanting it to be a military-based game. But anyways, that is all for this video. I do hope you've enjoyed. Hit subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the like button. Comment down below what you think about Ghost Recon Frontline. I'm definitely optimistic about this game, and I'd love to hear what your opinion is on this just by seeing the trailer. Of course, I'll put the link down below for the closed test, so if you'd like to take part in that, then do click the link in the description and go and try and get a part within that. Hopefully Ubisoft provides me with a code to play that, so I'll be playing alongside all of you, and I really do hope that everybody enjoys it when it does finally arrive, probably next year to be honest. I really do hope people enjoy that closed test, and I'll see you all in the next video.